Hi guys, and welcome to your first lesson on verb forms. Okay, so first things first then. What is a to infinitive? So a to infinitive is the most basic form of the verb. It's what you see if you look in a dictionary. It hasn't been changed. Okay, so there's no ed ending, there's no s ending, there's absolutely nothing. So, for example, she sleeps is not a to infinitive because the verb has been changed here to match the third person in the present tense. And then the other question, of course, is what is an ing? So an ing obviously is a word that ends in ing. That should be fairly clear. It's got other names though. So you might see it as the present participle, and you may have also come across the word gerund. Now an ing word can be a verb, it can be a noun, which is when we call it a gerund. It can also be an adjective depending on the sentence. Okay, so probably you will agree that this is quite easy. This is a little bit more complex. So this is a challenging area, okay? You obviously know that. English uses to infinitives and ing forms in lots of different ways. So here are 3 examples. Sometimes you can use either form. It doesn't really matter. Okay, I can say I love swimming. I can say I love to swim. Both are equally acceptable. Sometimes you have to choose one or the other because one is okay and one is not okay. So I avoid swimming at the weekends. Great sentence. I avoid to swim at the weekends. Or you just can't say that. It's not possible. Now, this is the really fun part, right? Sometimes you can use either, but you get a change in meaning. So I tried swimming, but I didn't like it is fine. I tried to swim to France once, I didn't get there. Both sentences are okay. The meaning is different. I'm not going to explain the difference right now. Okay? For now, just remember that there are times when you can use an ing or a to infinitive with a difference in meaning. And then these are only 3 examples of different uses, okay? There are other uses too. So when we use these words as objects, the really big question is how do you know which form to choose? And I think this is probably the most frustrating part of this language, right? Because of course this is English, so the rules are not that clear. And unfortunately for you, you basically have to memorize them. However, I am going to give you 4 tips to help you remember which form to choose. Number 1, if we are saying that we will or will not do something, we often use a to plus infinitive. So they've agreed to meet us tomorrow. I promise to help you. Tip number 2 is that thinking verbs often use an ing. So have you considered buying a car or a better car? And I really miss living in China. Tip number 3, reporting verbs also often use ing. I suggested taking a picnic. He denied robbing the bank. And the final tip, tip number 4. Verbs about planning or wanting often use to plus infinitive. She's planning to take a holiday next year. I hope to finish work at 5. Now, you might notice that I've used the word often here. That's because, as I'm sure you know, 100% rules in English are not very common. So I'm using that often in case one of you finds an exception, right? Because English is full of exceptions. But these 4 tips are really good guidelines to help you organize your vocabulary. And what I think I could do at the end of the month when I write the newsletter is maybe give you some study tips for this bit of language, okay? But these 4 tips here should get you started.